Okay, so welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a recap of Insatiable episode 10, Banana Heart Banana. Okay, so you know in the last episode, Barnard, I'm just going to use their last name. Barnard went to, Armstrong went to Barnard's house. And I guess he wanted to see if he was gay or bisexual or whatever. And so he found out. So the following morning he wakes up and now all of these things are going through his mind, like him questioning his sexuality and him just being so overly dramatic like he is. Like, oh my God, I've always liked girl things. Do I like boy things too? And you know, he's trying to sneak out and Barnard wakes up and like, where are you going? Where are you rushing off to? And you know, he has this whole conversation with him about how, you know, he felt the same way the first 8 times he had gay sex, and Armstrong is like, well, don't call it that. Like, he just really has he's having a hard time with the label. I would say he's having a really difficult time. So Barnard was like, you know, I love my wife, but I don't feel like I should have to deny. I love my wife and daughter, but I feel like I should have to deny who I am. And you know, I had to learn to compartmentalize. And he's like, well, that's basically what you're gonna have to do. And Armstrong is like, you know, he loves his wife and they have 2 kids, and you know, it's just a lot. And I guess they had a little morning delight, and then Armstrong headed home. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's just so, you know, when you think about so many women who get caught up in these situations and whose lives are turned upside down, the children whose lives are turned upside down in situations like this, it's just really, I mean, it's upsetting. And yeah, I know this is supposed to be a comedy, you know, dark comedy or something like that, but the reality is a lot of women deal with this and have to deal with the aftermath and fallout of it. And it's heartbreaking. It is. So he heads home. Armstrong heads home, and he's trying to rush home because he has to get dressed to go to the office. And he finds out that Coralee moved back in. And so he's walking around in his underwear because he's really went to the closet to get some clothes to put on to go to work. And she was like, why are your knees so red? Auntie, don't ask questions you don't really want to answer to. But he was like, oh, I was looking for my keys. I was looking high and low. I bet you was looking high and low. So she was basically talking to him, and she said, you know, with the counseling, I just thought if we're going to really work on our marriage, then we should probably do it under the same roof. And she apologized for sleeping with Shane again. And you know, she said that even though they were going through troubles, that didn't give her the right to do that, and how sorry she was. And he asked her, you know, like, oh, so are you moving back in? And she was like, well, if that's okay with you. And so, you know, she's, you know, trying to be supportive now. The whole time they're having this conversation, Barnard is sending him all these texts, right, blowing his phone up about showing him. He sent a picture of his ass. Then he sent that banana heart bananas emojis, and she's like, who is blowing up your phone? And he said, oh, it's Patty. You know, it's always something. And she's like, well, I know. He's like, I'm sorry, I know how you feel about her. I know you don't like her. She said, I don't, but you know, things that are important to you, Patty, pageants, and anything else, you know, they're important to me too. And she said that, maybe I'll stop by and bring you and a Barnard lunch later on. He was like, no, he's just a nervous wreck, so he's not doing a good job at covering up the fact that there's something going on. And she was like, no, he was like, no, I guess, you know, he's gonna be busy gonna be too busy and whatnot. And so, you know, he said, no, you know, you're working on your rooms. You said you wanted to work on being a mompreneur, and you have your organization, and I think that you should, you know, focus on that. You know, focus on dealing with it, building that. And so he scoots on out of the room, and next you know, he receives a text from Patty. So he's like, oh God, am I bisexual and psychic? So flash to Patty. Patty, it's her birthday. So she's turned 18, and her mom and Nonnie, they have this ritual where her mother made her these pancakes with chocolate and peanut. I mean, just, but she can't eat it because she has the pageant that she has to stay in shape for. And so they start talking, and she gets a text from the principal. So Armstrong and Patty, they're in the principal's office. The principal wants to suspend her after she threw Dixie out of the wheelchair at the anti-bullying assembly. And so, as usual, Armstrong is telling her that what if I come up with something that will help Dixie and Patty make amends. And so now he's come up with this idea of having a roast for her birthday party. So basically, he called Regina Vagina, who her and Dixie are living in Dixie's Hummer, because when she went to prison, of course she wasn't there to pay the bills, and their home got foreclosed on, so they're living in the car now. But of course, at this point, people don't know that. And so Regina was like, okay, in order for us to participate in this, we have demands. And so they're asking for a new wheelchair and a van. So, because this roast is also going to be a fundraiser it was initially going to be a fundraiser to raise money for Dixie to get an electric wheelchair, but they threw in the van. Regina Vagina threw in the van. So, they're walking down the hall, Armstrong and Patty, and she sees Christian. He said, wait a minute, this was what I was trying to tell you at the assembly. Something bad went down in Brazil, and I'm going to talk with Barnard to find out. He still has friends from when he was a DA, to see what he can find out about what happened with Christian in Brazil, because they keep mentioning Brazil. And she was like, when did you and him become friends? Become friends. And he was like, I mean, basically we're not, we work together, but we're gonna find out. And so he went on to work, opens his office door, and Barnard had already set up a little picnic in his office. He all laid out, displayed, almost with his ass tooted for I guess round 2 or 3. And it had a little champagne and whatever. And so, of course, Armstrong is like, what the hell are you doing? And so he walks in, and then they start talking. And he said that he wanted he was going to head over to the rehab, the facility that Magnolia is in. He was going to go and see her. And Bob Armstrong asked about, so how is she doing? And, how's everything going? And he's, she's, as well as can be expected. And so it's like they had a kind of moment. Him and Armstrong and Barnard had I guess a decent kind of moment. I'm still like, oh, you fucking assholes, like, for real. How could you do this to your wife and children? But it's just, wow. Barnard made it over to the facility to see Magnolia, and when him and Armstrong was talking in the house, when he gave him the note saying that she cheated, he didn't know that she was in the background, and she heard the entire conversation. So she knows about him accusing her of cheating. She knows about what's her name, Roxy, as being his daughter, and he was basically telling her, I'm sorry. He thought that it was all about him forcing her to do the pageants, and he was saying very apologetic, like, I didn't know that you were so unhappy and that she didn't want to do the pageants anymore, even though whatever. I don't think he didn't know. I just think he didn't care to know, because again, it was all about the Barnard image. Anyway, she was like, she said, I know that you stabbed me in the back by telling Bob Barnard, Armstrong, that I cheated. And so he sat there, and you can see he was starting tears in his eye. And how could you not tell me that I had a sister? And how could you cheat on Mom? And how could I ever trust you again? What else are you keeping from me? And he just bursts out, I'm gay. And she kind of jumps back and just looks at him. So now Barnard is home. Armstrong is there, and he said, you told Magnolia? He said, yeah, I just wanted to be. He said, I probably should have told Eddie Mae first, but Eddie Mae is out of town. She's in Haiti. And he said, you want to tell Eddie Mae? He's like, yeah, I'm tired of doing this. I want to just be free to be open, and I want to come out and I want them to know who I care about. And then of course Armstrong is like, oh, hell no, this is all new to me. Like, you've been doing this shit for forever and a day. This is all new to me. I don't even consider myself gay. Like, he's still having an issue with the label, and he considers himself bisexual. And Barnard is like, no, you're gay. And then of course Armstrong got upset. Like, don't tell me what I am. And they go through this whole thing, and then Barnard ended up asking Armstrong to spend the night, and he's like, are you crazy? He has to go home I have to go home to my wife. But then Armstrong was like, I don't know what is going on with him, because Barnard was drinking, so I'm afraid of who he might tell if I do go home. So he ends up staying, and you see him creeping in the bedroom in the wee hours of the morning. Coralee is still knocked out. She got posters all over the place coming up with this idea for some tampon with a ring and a tassel. Okay, girl. And so he plugs his phone up and goes into the room, goes to the closet to change, and she walks in. I said, oh, you late night at the office again? He's like, yeah, we're working on this case. And she said, why did I wake you? She said, no, Barnard did. He's been texting him like crazy. So she handed him the phone. And she said, oh my God, did you see the text? She's like, oh, only the naked ones. And he kind of turned and they just bust out laughing, right? So he is a nervous wreck. And so he sends him a text like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm with my wife. And so he says, it's about, relax, this is about Christian giving me a call. So he calls him to find out, then we go find out what actually happened in Brazil. So, go flashback a little bit. Patty, she went to the Wiener Taco, where Mom is, and they were talking about the party and the roast and the whole thing. And Nonnie and Dee walks in, and they start talking, and she's, Dee, at first, Patty was kind of in high spirits, and Dee was like, well, I don't know, because some of the stories that Nonnie has told me about you, and then she said, what do you mean? And so at first Nonnie didn't want to say anything, and she was like, well, Patty was like, tell me what you told her, because I don't want to be blindsided, I want to prepare myself. And the next thing you know, you see Patty storm out, and it's like, oh my God, if they hear all these stories, then it's going to make me seem like the worst person at all, and so this is going to make me seem like the worst person. And so now she's trying to call Bob to call off the roast. So I guess she couldn't get in contact with him, so she shows up at his office, and she sees them still in his office with this candlelight brunch or lunch. I don't even know what it was. She was like, what in the world is going on? I'm like, oh hell. So she tells her, oh, I'm something new I'm doing for lunch. We meditate at lunchtime, and so that's why everyone on the floor and the whole nine and whatever. And so Barnard actually offered his house up for the party. And so he sent Patty on to make the flyers or whatever, now that they have a location, whatever the case may be. So Patty is now at the school. They're handing out flyers for her roast, and Bob calls her, Armstrong calls her and say, I found out what happened in Brazil. It was something about Christian. He had a girlfriend and he tried to kidnap his girlfriend or whatever. And then just as they were having this conversation, she was listening to Bob tell her what was going on. Christian walks up behind her, so Nonnie was kind of sitting her to whatever. So she ended the call, and Patty, with no damn impulse control, was like, I know about what happened in Brazil. And so he slams his fist against the locker and was like, what are you checking up on me? And da-da-da-da, and this whole thing. So he flashed on her. Nonnie, tried to jump in, and he pushed her to the floor. Next, you see Brick walking down the hall. He intervenes, and Christian, they have their little thing, and Christian goes on. And, she ends up, she apologized to him for everything. And she handed him a flyer for the party, and he was like, I have plans, but if I can make it, I'll try. So, and Nonnie was like, talk about choosing the wrong guy. So she kind of looked at her, and it was just a hot mess. So Christian crazy as hell. The hell? So Bob is getting dressed for the party, but Armstrong is getting dressed for the party, and Coralee walks in like, oh, why are you all dressed up? And so he told her about the party and the roast, and she was like, oh, okay, well, I should go to support you. So initially he didn't want her to go because it was going to be at Barnard's house, but eventually, she got herself together and they went over. So, Gordy shows up, and he was played by one of the bald ones. It's not Alec. Steven, I forget which one. So Patty's mom, she basically confronts him. I thought we were going to find out that he was Patty's father, but we find out that she was 14 and he was 26. So basically, I don't know if she was trying to say that he had raped her, or she was basically like their relationship was inappropriate, and he was like, we were in love. She said, I wouldn't call that love, and everything that's happened in my life since then has been fucked up, because that was fucked up and it's just been a hot mess since. And he said, oh, I see what it is. You know, you're middle-aged now when you're not turning heads anymore, and it's like, he was like, chill, you're old enough to have a teenage daughter. And so she looked across the way, like, where is she? So he saw her, Patty was standing over, I forget who she was talking to, probably Armstrong. And he was gonna walk over to talk to her. So she was like, oh, you know, and then I forget the name of that car. He said, do you still keep weed in the glove compartment and so of the whatever the name of this car is? He was like, yeah. He said, well, why don't you go out there and meet me out there, and I'll rustle us up some condoms and I'll be right out. And so he heads out, he's out there waiting for her. Next you know, you see a knock at the door. It's Nonnie's dad, the sheriff. And he said, yeah, I was told that you have drugs in this car, that you had drugs or, you know, something to that effect. And so he basically got arrested. So just shortly before the roast, so you have Bob Armstrong. He's a nervous wreck the entire time at this party, because he's thinking that at any minute now Barnard's gonna blurt out that he's gay and that they're lovers or whatever. So he's constantly trying to make him submit. She's constantly, every time he sees Barnard and Coralee talking, he has to, you know, go over, he's just to see what they're talking about, because this man is a nervous wreck. So shortly before the roast was supposed to start, her mom walks in. This is after Gordy was hauled off, and she said, well, it's time for me to give you your birthday gift. And so she gave her the keys to her car, and she was like, I want you, when you get a chance, to leave this town. Basically, don't get stuck here. There's more to life. You need to go out and see the world, and whatever. She said, but while everybody's distracted, I'm going to head out. And she's like, what, right now? She was like, yeah, you know, it's time for us to both be adults, and I'll get in touch with you in a few days, something. So she basically ran out on her at her 18th birthday party, where these people about to sit up and talk all kind of shit about her. So that was one blow to her. Okay. Now we're gonna flashback a little bit. When they were at the district at the Wiener Taco, and Patty stormed out. Nonnie and Dee walked out behind her, and then this is when she was trying to get in contact with Bob to find out if they can just cancel the party. So she walks off. Nonnie was about to run behind her. Dee stops her and was like, why is it that every time there's a problem with her, you drop everything to go and deal with it? And it's like, I don't like who you are. It's like you're a different person when she's around. And so Nonnie was like, what are you talking about? She was just basically Nonnie told her, don't make me choose between you or her, because you'll lose. And so Nonnie walks off. And so we get to the party here for the roast. Dee shows up, and she was like, well, you know, she's your friend, and, you know, basically I care about you, so I came to support you. And plus I want to, it's going to be, basically she's going to get a kick out of people sitting up talking shit about Patty, because she don't really like Patty. So I think Brick was up first. She said something that made the crowd, they kind of laughed. And then I think Nonnie's dad said something. Of course, vagina, and Dixie said something. And then Nonnie grabs the mic, and she's like, oh, okay, well, they say the best for last. I know she's going to be my girl. She's going to be my friend. And she's going, you know, she's going to do me a solid and make me look good in front of these people. But Nonnie basically ran down all the dumb shit she's done for Patty, with Patty, or whatever the case may be. And she kind of looked back at Dee and realized that, you know, there was some truth to what Dee said, that every time she's around Patty, craziness ensues. And so they have a little break, because the point of the roast. So the first half was basically them saying how they felt about Patty, and I think the second half was supposed to be about how she felt about them, the people who got up to say some shit, right? So they had a little break, so people were kind of milling around drinking, whatever. Patty and Nonnie are outside on the deck, and she said, well, she said, I am so sorry, I didn't know you felt that way, and I just didn't realize that you felt that way. And then Nonnie was basically like, you know, you didn't make me do anything. You didn't hold a gun to my head. I did it, but, you know, I just feel like, and she basically was like, like who I am when I'm around you. This friendship isn't working for me anymore and I need a break. So Nonnie walks off. So that's the second person. The second person that's close to her and walked out on her. So she goes back in, and Coralee and Barnard is they're in the kitchen talking. Of course, Armstrong slides in like, what are you guys talking about? And so Coralee was thinking they were talking about how he helped her out when she first left Armstrong. And so they kind of looking at him like, what are you talking about? And she Coralee was like, yeah, and I think you helped me, may have saved our marriage. And so of course Armstrong drops his glass of champagne, it's all over the floor, and so Coralee goes to find the mop or whatever. So while they're there, they get some napkins trying to clean it up, and Armstrong is just like, please stop, basically just, this is driving me crazy. I don't know how you did this. He was like, you gotta relax. You just have to relax. And Dre basically trying to put him at ease, right? So they end up going into the bathroom. He ended up going into the bathroom because he started to have a panic attack or something. And so next thing you know, they started hot and heavy and steaming up the mirrors and shit, right? So next thing you know, Patty walks in after her conversation with Nonnie, and now she's looking for Armstrong. And so she asked, I think somebody may have told her he was in the bathroom, whatever. So she walks into the bathroom. They didn't see her, so she sees them making out. So now she's like, okay. So now, being the bitch that she is, her ass goes out there and was like, okay, intermission over. I just can't believe that, he had me come in here and lay myself bare, and he keeps telling me about being honest and, just being the best B I can be or something, he said to her. And so she gets on the mic and basically tells him, like, is there anything that you want to share? She basically says that to him, like, you've been telling me that I need to be myself and be honest. And she said, I'm just so sick of this. I need people who's going to talk the walk, who's going to talk the walk. So what is it? How's it, Bob? Is this something you want to tell the group? So she eventually blurts out in front of every damn body that Bob Armstrong and Barnard are screwing. In front of his wife, in front of his son, in front of Regina, in front of everybody at this party. She blurts this shit out, right? So of course Coralee is standing like, what is she talking about? What? And so of course Bob Armstrong is devastated. He's sitting there like, he just doesn't know what to do. And so he's looking at Barnard, and then Coralee looks at him, and she's like following his eyes, and she's like, well, why are you looking at him? And then of course she's crushed and devastated, and she starts crying. And she grabs Brick, and she said, Bob Armstrong said, I don't want you to go. And she's like, I'm not leaving this time. You are. And don't come home, ever. So her and Brick walk out. I guess a delivery guy came in, and he dropped something in Dixie's lap. She jumps up, but we already knew that she was just a fucking fake, because that's her and her mom are. They a bunch of damn scammers, right? So she jumps up, so now that's out the bag that her and her mom has been faking. So Dixie grabs a little thing of money that people were putting money in to pay to come into the party. She grabbed that and runs off. And Bob Armstrong walks over. He grabs Patty. I thought he was gonna slap the shit out of her. If ever there was a time she needed to get her ass whooped, that would have been the time. Like, bitch. And he was just basically like, after everything that I've done for you, why would you do this to me? And she was like, I'm just sick of you. After you convinced me to come in here and let these people talk to me and lay myself bare, and you've been walking around here lying the whole time and not being honest. He said, you know what? I am so, I made the mistake of thinking that because you were beautiful on the inside, that you would also be beautiful on the outside. But what I have come to realize is that you are just ugly on the inside. You're just an ugly person. And he walks off. And she stood there, and she gets home, and then she now comes to the realization, after she done caused all this devastation in his life once again, in his marriage, was like, I'm just this heartless. This is her voiceover, that she's this heartless, inconsiderate person, and I just didn't think about who I would be hurting by my accusation. So she had comes home with the sheet cake, and so she sits down and she digs into the sheet cake. She's like, well, I'm gonna do what I do best, you know, pageant be damned. So she sits there and it goes off with her digging into the sheet cake and just eating this damn cake, like icing the shit all over her face, just a mess, right? So a very, oh my god. So Coralee, I just slew it. She was like, first, Patty gave her the necklace, which caused damage in the mirror, because she was trying to get with Bob, which was never going to happen. And here now you get out of her husband in front of her son in public. And it's like, bitch, Patty clearly has some mental issues. The bitch clearly has impulse control issues. She got some problems. Like, I mean, this is just, that was ridiculous. Even though, you know, fuck Bob, both Armstrong and Bob for doing that to their wives and their children, that was not the time or the place. That was messed up. So I am going to end this here. This episode was just a hoot. So I will talk to you guys in the next video.